in order to build Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And so our field trip, our Egypt on the Potomac field trip,
Yes.
was designed specifically to articulate that history. What they got from Egypt, what African knowledge they used in order to create this city and help it to become the center of power that it is. And so my contention is on the field trip, if Europeans can access African knowledge and use that to lift themselves up,
Yes.
then we can do the same thing because it is our ancestral knowledge.
I would like to thank you, Tony, first for allowing ROASA to be a part of your vision and what you've shared with the community over the years. But my last question is, as ROASA continue to grow, to network with people, to expose them to organizations such as IKG and other organizations that exist in the Washington, D.C., maybe just the nation, what do you recommend or what type of suggestions can you give for ROASA to, be more effective in outreaching?
Well, continue doing what you're doing because it is effective. You are building bridges. We just have to be vigilant because despite the fact that we have an African-American president who can't talk about race, who can't talk about issues of relevance to his people, we have to realize that we have not arrived. This is not a race-neutral society, and that race and racism will be issues that our children's children will have to contend with. And so the best thing that we can do is have meaningful and intelligent conversations about race, about racism, about history, so that our children will understand very clearly who they are, but most importantly, who they are not. And it is that knowledge of self that will allow them to rise above those people with an inferior consciousness or with hate in their heart. And that then will allow us to do the work that I strongly feel that we were all born to do, that our ancestors are working through us to ensure that we do in order to restore our rightful place in history. So I'm pleased that there are organizations such as ROASA, organizations such as IKG, who have a mission, who are devoted to the upliftment of African people, not at the exclusion of anybody else, but the important issue is you always take care of home first. You take care of family first. And once family is taken care of, then you go out to help everybody else. So that's natural. And we just need more people to be their natural selves and act for the betterment of their family, their households, their communities, and hopefully we'll make this country and this world a better place.
Well, thank you so very much.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What does the future hold for the IKG Cultural Center or for Tony Browder? Or are there anything different we can expect, or anything more enhanced we can expect?
Sure. What you can expect from us in the future is more work. I'm currently writing my 5th book, the 2nd volume of the Exploding the Myth series. That should be out next year, and it is my goal to make that my greatest work. I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of research over the years, have a lot of information that I'm going to pour into this book. I mentioned that this past July I made my 42nd trip to Egypt. This trip to Egypt, this last trip to Egypt, was my best trip to Egypt in that I had the opportunity to participate in my first excavation. Actually worked on a 25th dynasty tomb from the 8th century BCE, tomb of a young brother by the name of Karakamu. He was the first archpriest at the Temple of Karnak. His tomb was one of the largest tombs built in Egypt. It was an incredible experience, and so IKG is going to be working with Dr. Lena Piszczykova, who discovered this tomb 3 years ago. And we're going to be working on the excavation, conservation, and the restoration of this tomb. And we just created a new project called the ASA Restoration Project, named in honor of my colleague, friend, and brother, Dr. A.C.G. Hilliard, who passed 2 years ago in Egypt. And the purpose of this project is to raise money for the continued excavation and conservation of these tombs. Actually, there's 3 tombs that were found, and we're working on 1 tomb right now. And to raise money for this continued work, to bring people to Egypt to participate in the excavation. We want young folk. We want middle-aged people. We want retired people to come and literally be a part of uncovering history. We want to help train the next generation of archaeologists and Egyptologists and historians and scientists. We want to be able to not only rediscover our story, but write our story so that these stories about the 25th dynasty will be in classrooms, will be in documentaries, will be in movie theaters. And then we're also going to initiate cultural circles, which are action-oriented community study groups, where we'll take a basic curriculum about ancient Kemetic history and the 25th dynasty and teach that to people so that they can go out into the community and teach the community so that we can raise our level of awareness of ancient Kemet and get out of our minds those negative, debilitating, false perceptions of old, wicked Egypt. That's someone else's interpretation of a country that they never knew. So we've got to change the paradigm, and we're working on doing that. One of the other beautiful things that is going to be happening that's going to help make our work so much easier is that there's going to be a lot of interest focused on the 25th dynasty over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. 25th dynasty was, as Dr. Hilliard referred to it, as the last golden age in Kemet. It is a time frame in which European Egyptologists acknowledge that black men ruled Egypt. Now, what they conveniently forget was that Egypt, or Kemet, was founded by black folk in the very beginning. And all of the people responsible for creating those things which made Kemet great and make Egypt important in the minds of people all over the planet were all created by African people, indigenous African people. And that's part of the story we have to put out there. But the 25th dynasty was Kemet's last great walk in the sun. So Will Smith currently has in production a film called The Last Pharaoh, in which he's going to play Taharka, one of the last great kings of this Nubian dynasty. There is a documentary that is going to be out in December of 2009 on Taharka. One of the reasons why there's so much interest in Taharka is because he is the only Egyptian king whose name is mentioned in the Bible. Now, I want you to notice two things. I said he's the only Egyptian king, not Pharaoh. I don't use the word Pharaoh because Pharaoh is an Asiatic word. The people of Kemet did not call themselves Pharaoh. The word Pharaoh means great house. So you can't call the king of Kemet after the residence that he lives in, the great house. It's like calling the president of the United States the White House. You know, to me, it's an illustration of one's ignorance of history and culture. So the kings of Kemet, the major kings of Kemet, were African. Taharka is the only king of Kemet who is mentioned by name in the Bible. Now, when we talk about Moses in the Exodus, all they make reference to is Pharaoh. They don't mention his name. And I find that very peculiar because in the chronology in the Bible, they can list the name of ancestors going back hundreds and hundreds of generations. So-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so. But when it comes to the king who was on the throne of Egypt during the time of the Exodus, they don't know his name. There are a lot of holes in the story which need to be filled with accurate information. So we're going to be about the business of providing accurate information so that we can free minds. So the 25th dynasty is, you're going to hear a lot about the 25th dynasty, and what we plan to do through the cultural circles is to get out front in leading the discussion with historically accurate information about who these people were and their relationship to the earlier dynasties in Egypt. Because one of the things that the 25th dynasty was noted for doing was to restore the land of their ancestors. Those were their precise words. And the ancestors that they were talking about were the ancestors of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th dynasties, the pyramid builders. Everything the 25th dynasty kings and the nobles who were part of their entourage did was to emulate, to replicate, to bring life back into the ways of their ancestors. And that's what made the 25th dynasty such a great dynasty. And again, the 25th dynasty is connected to the tomb that we're working in, the tomb of Karakamun. It was one of the earliest tombs built in Egypt during the 25th dynasty. So we're going to begin to continue the process of putting the pieces of our puzzle together so that we can understand very clearly who we were, who we are, but also who we must become.
Outstanding.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.